Hello, The Mouse and the Motorcycle by Beverly Cleary. Chapter 5. The last chapter was about, the boy let him out of the trash can. And, well, he just started riding everywhere. Now, remember, the way he makes the motorcycle go is going, and when he does that, the motorcycle goes faster. And the boy's sad because he knows that his mom will never let him ride a motorcycle. Now think about it. How many of you, your moms are like that? They won't let you do things that you want to do. But you know what? Think about it. Maybe it really is because your mom knows something that you don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's because your mom is trying to protect you. And she loves you. Think about that. Anyway, we're on chapter 5. And chapter 5 is called Adventure in the Night. Adventure in the Night. When Ralph, that's the mouse, when Ralph had mastered riding the motorcycle on the threadbare carpet. Threadbare means it's an old carpet where the threads are starting to be worn out. So it's like an old carpet. When he had mastered that, he went bumping over the roses on the less worn parts under the dresser. Under the dresser and the bedside table. That was fun too. So then he started going under the bed and the dresser where the carpet was still not as bad because nobody had ever been walking on. "Hey," whispered the boy. "Come on out where I can see you." Ralph shot out into the moonlight where he stopped, sitting jauntily on the motorcycle with one foot resting on the floor. "Say," he said, "how about letting me take her out in the hall? You know, just for a little spin to see how fast she'll go." "Promise you'll be back? You'll bring it back?" asked Keith. "Scout's honor," answered Ralph, who had picked up many expressions from children who had stayed in 215. "Okay, I'll tell you what," said Keith. "You can use it at night, and I'll use it in the daytime. I'll leave the door open an inch so you can get in. That way you can ride it up and down the hall at night." "Can I really?" This was more than Ralph had hoped for. "Where do you want me to park it when I come in?" he asked. "Someplace where the maid won't step on it," answered the boy. "That's easy, under the bed. She practically never cleans under the bed." "Yes, I know," agreed Keith. "I looked. There are a lot of dust mice back there." "Please," Ralph was pained. "Oh, sorry," said the voice. "That's what my mother calls bunches of dusty fluff under the bed." "My mother doesn't," said Ralph. "Now how about opening the door?" The boy put his hand on the doorknob. "You won't let anything happen to my motorcycle, will you?" he asked. "You know I wouldn't let anything happen to a beauty like this," said Ralph. "See that you don't, and don't stay out too late." The boy opened the door and permitted Ralph to putt out into the dim light of the hall. That's what he means by putt out. Ralph had a scary feeling he was on the threshold of adventure. There were no beds or chairs for him to dart under in case of danger. The floor creaked. Someone was snoring in room 214 across the hall. Outside in the pines, an owl hooted, sending prickles up Ralph's spine. You know, I just thought of something. It's been a while since Ralph has been home to see his mother. I bet his mother is worried about him. Just occurred to me. Ralph controlled the trembling of his paws while he hesitated outside the door to consider the possibilities of the hall, which was carpeted down the center, leaving two smooth highways of bare floor on either side along the baseboards. Okay, so I'm imagining Okay, there's a hallway, and in the middle of the hallway is the carpet. But right next to, between the carpet and the wall on both sides, is kind of like hard floor, maybe a tile or cement, but it's more like hard floor, and the carpet is only in the middle. Okay. It did not take Ralph long to decide what to do. He picked up his tail, took a deep breath, bent low over the handlebars, flattened his ears, and sped down the straightaway as fast as the motorcycle would go. He could feel his whiskers swept back by the force of his speed. It was glorious. Ralph had never ventured so far from home before. The old wooden hotel, cooling in the night air, snapped and creaked. But Ralph was brave. He was riding a motorcycle. He passed room 213, ran out of breath, let momentum carry him past another noisy snorer in room 211, on down the hall to the elevator, the mysterious elevator that carried people to that wonderful place Ralph had heard so much about, the ground floor. Oh, so he's never been to the ground floor. When Ralph came to the stairs, he stopped to look down, knowing it was impossible to ride a motorcycle downstairs, and at the same time wishing he could see for himself the wonders that lay below. He sniffed the air, and it seemed to him that he could smell the strange foods he had heard about. Cinnamon buns with sticky frosting, turkey stuffing, and pancakes with maple syrup. A ray of moonlight from a window glinted on the glassy eye of a mounted deer's head over the stair landing and startled Ralph, sending him off down the hall, past the broom closet and the linen room, to the end of the hall where he executed a sharp turn and started back. Well, so he saw like when sometimes hunters, they kill an animal, they cut the head and they take it to a taxidermist, and the taxidermist preserves it, and then they hang the head on the wall. Well, that's what scared him. The glass eye, I guess the light glinted off at the glass eye, and Oh, here he is, by the stairs. Exhilarated by speed, Ralph raced up and down. Once he heard some people getting out of the elevator. Let me read that again. Once, when he heard some people getting out of the elevator, he had to duck behind the curtain of the window at the end of the hall. Toward midnight, he passed his Aunt Sissy scurrying along the baseboard. He waved and nearly lost control of the motorcycle. Aunt Sissy stopped to stare while Ralph rode on, feeling pleased with himself and at the same time sorry for Aunt Sissy, poor frightened thing with only her feet to carry her from one crumb to the next. Up and down the hall raced Ralph, until after an especially noisy burst of speed outside room 211, he was startled to hear a dog bark inside the room. Now it was Ralph's turn to be frightened. Oh, he thought, I'd better be careful. If there was one thing Ralph disliked, it was people who traveled with dogs. Dogs always sniffed around where they had no business sniffing. Once a dog had even barked into the mouse hole in room 215. It was days before Ralph's mother got over that. Ralph heard someone moving around inside room 211, and looking back over his shoulder, he saw the door open, and a tousled man in a bathrobe and slippers appeared carrying a little terrier. The man looked cross and sleepy as he started down the hall toward the elevator with his dog. Oh, I see. The dog barked to wake the man up, so the man would take him outside to go to the bathroom, and that's why the man is tired and looking not too happy. It says the man looked cross and sleepy. Cross means kind of irritated. He was walking straight toward Ralph. Realizing he was taking a chance, Ralph speeded up the motorcycle. If he turned and headed back to room 215, he would have to pass the man. It was better to continue toward the elevator and hope he could find a place to hide. He raced on down the hall. The wild barks of the little terrier told Ralph